Welcome back to WPGU 107.1. My name is Theo Rosenberg, and we're coming at you at a very special time right now because we have a very special guest in the building. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gene Honda.
Gene Honda, a Illini Media WPGU veteran, and he's pretty much gone on to do a lot of things in his very lengthy career that give him recognition.
Veteran's a fun word.
Yeah.
It's a nicer way of saying alumni, a nicer way of saying old timer.
Yeah. I mean, you have done a lot in your career. I'm looking at this list right now, and it seems like you've pretty much done everything, done every sports related activity.
I'm for hire. How's that?
Yeah. And so
we'll talk for food or something like that.
So can you just give us a little rundown of what you're doing now compared to what have you done in the past? Because I see here it says you've been the PA announcer for Depaul Basketball, the Maui Classic, college basketball's Final Four. The list goes on and on.
The White Sox and the Blackhawks.
Yeah, the White Sox and the Blackhawks. I saw your Blackhawks ring you brought in here. Yep. Very nice. So what are you doing right now?
Well, right now, just doing basketball and hockey. But what's interesting is that for me is that God, I haven't done radio in so long. This is bringing back a lot of memories. And with my face, this is even more surprising. I'm doing more television things than anything else. Doing work for PBS.
Okay.
Not just the PBS station in Chicago, but for PBS nationally. And so they've got the courage to put me on camera, but they also use me for voice work. So I'm doing a lot of that stuff out of my house, out of my studio at home, and then doing sporting events. So it keeps you busy. It really does.
Yeah, I'm sure. Are you still doing the Illini Football?
As far as I know, what have you heard about tomorrow?
I haven't heard anything. I don't follow anything about football, so
I think I'm supposed to work tomorrow.
Okay,
yes.
for sure. I'm just making sure. So so you're a man of and you said you're not employed by anyone. You're just your own boss. You do what you do.
I guess technically you say self-employed. Or freelance. Or I call it unemployment.
My dad calls it free range.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just kind of run around.
Yeah, that's fine.
So and we have you here today because you are a WPGU alumni. So tell us a little bit about your experience at WPGU.
Well, the honest truth is I came down to WPGU for two reasons. One was to learn how to speak in public. I had a tendency to really talk fast, and I needed a way to slow down. The other was to meet girls, and half the plan worked and the other still a work in progress. But I started by just doing on-air work, doing disc jockey work, and then they let me do some news, a lot of sports, and the best thing I actually learned was production, because it turned out that was something that I was good at in radio through the years, and then setting up your own studio at home. It was really helpful to have that background. Otherwise, I'm not sure what I'm doing with putting this plug into this hole. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really understand the resources that WPGU can give to students just to practice stuff they learn in their career,
It's amazing. People always say, how do I get on the radio? How do I start in broadcasting? And when you ask them, have you been on the air? And they go, no. But you have to be on the air, and this is really the perfect way to be able to do it, because you can take classwork in whatever discipline you choose and then get really good practical hands-on experience on the air here at WPGU. And you got to have both to be able to be on the air.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think that is for me at least, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room, it's a huge learning experience, and it gives us a lot of valuable stuff we can use later in our career, which you did the same thing. But that something different from that, has your voice always been this nice to listen to?
I think it got deeper because of some bad habits I developed as I grew older, including some things I'm not supposed to do on campus anymore, and then there's the alcohol. It happens. But honestly, one of the most valuable things was when I started, we had a small AM setup called DBS that just went to the dorms. And that's where you started, and that's where you trained. In the studio there was a manual just like this, but on page 1 it said, everyone thinks you have to have a deep masculine voice or a soft feminine voice to be on the air. You don't. You just have to be conversational. And to everyone I've heard here, congratulations, because you didn't need to have to read page 1, I guess. Some of us had to read it several times. It's true. Just talk. And I guess I'm lucky that between my bad habits and a few good habits I learned at WPGU, you get this result.
Well, it is a very good result, and it's taken you a long way in your career. But what do you think about WPGU and Illini Media? What did you learn here that really shaped your career? Because I know you were here for 4 years, but you stayed in Champaign for a long time after that, correct?
12 years.
12. It's brave. You're a brave man.
No, it's only 4 terms. Nixon, Ford, Carter, and Reagan. So it wasn't that long. The 2 most valuable things being here, 1, as we talked about, the hands-on part. 2 is, you know what's nice? And people wouldn't know this, but there's, 6 of us sitting in the room right now? The fellowship that you generate with the people you get to work with. You'll learn teamwork. You'll learn cooperation. You make friends. And you get to share ideas about the kind of career you're looking for. And if those 2 aren't valuable, then I'm not sure what is.
Well, it is very true. I think a lot of people today, especially, stress the idea of networking. And this is one of the reasons I don't WPGU, and I'm sure you benefited from it as well. And,
didn't know I was doing it at the time. Just the way things worked out. Yes.
Yeah. And you didn't even mean to go into broadcasting first.
No,
you were going
I was supposed to be a real estate appraiser through the real estate finance program here.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And you did engineering before that, right?
Yep.
So you kind of bounced all over the place and landed here.
Oh, absolutely, bounced all over the place. But that's also the nice thing about being at a university this size is that it gives you so many options that are available for you to try. And unbeknownst to me, one of them was broadcasting. And so you get lucky. If you get lucky, you stumble down the right rabbit hole. And for me, the rabbit hole was going down to the basement of Weston Hall.
That's pretty good comparison, though. It's kind of like a rabbit hole in itself.
It is. I'm still looking for Alice, but the rabbit hole's there. Yeah.
Oh, now we have a new rabbit hole here at the YMCA.
This is a nice rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's improved. It's still a rabbit hole though. I like it though. It's comfortable. So when you were at WPG, you did production. You did on air. Did you do anything else regarding?
Did play-by-play sports. Did Illinois hockey games. What was nice was back then they gave you the chance to try different things, and either you were good at it and you did it again, or not, and then you move on to something else. If I didn't do that and then get the chance to do the same things at another station that used to be in town here, there's no way I get to do the things I do now. Trying to do those things, failing at doing some things, and then maybe getting a shot at doing it better. It all started through the basement of Weston Hall.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's a nice way to stumble into a career.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I could kind of relate to in my own way. Like I never thought I would do radio, but I guess here I am, and I'm doing it. Who knows what will become of it? But we'll only see.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure your success has something to do with your work ethic as well. You have a very lengthy track record, like I mentioned before. Do you have anything that your parents taught you, or any lessons you learned along the way that you keep with you to keep pushing yourself to move forward?
Keep moving forward. But I think the more important thing from them, especially for this business, is just learn from your own mistakes and try to make sure that you don't do them again. You have to take some chances to make the mistakes, right? But you also can learn from those mistakes the next time you get that opportunity. So that was kind of nice. Of course, it helps to get that second opportunity.
Yeah, but that's the good thing about WPGU is that we're a student radio station, and
Absolutely.
The main idea for people that come here is to learn.
Yes, and this was a great space, a great place to be able to do all those things.
So thank God you didn't mess up later on in your career because you messed up here. I mean, I'm sure that you went through your troubles, but
I think you were right both ways, and maybe some more mistakes later on too, though.
Yeah. But I also one thing I wanted to ask was the attitudes in America have changed a lot since you were a student here. What was it like growing up as an Asian American student in a predominantly, I would say, like with a sports background? There wasn't too much diversity then.
What was nice was the people I got to work with and live with never looked at it that way. And to the point where here I am now, and I'll be the first to make fun of some of the silly things that I do. I'm not saying I represent all Asian Americans, just me, but there was never that feeling. I was very lucky that in sports, in broadcasting, that never happened. Now, on the other hand, there were several times that I went to apply for jobs where back then when we went for radio jobs or even public address announcing jobs, it was the same process. You had to apply through an audio tape, and you were encouraged not to send a photograph, which is fine, and it's very objective that way. In many ways, there's only, I think, one other business I know that's that objective without having to look at a person's face. What I didn't know was I had gotten hired through the tape. I walk in the door, and they're, who are you? They did not expect this face to come with that voice, which is also funny. And at first, yeah, you get a little offended by that. Then you have fun with it. And then you play with people. And you see how flexible they really are.
Well, at least you found a way to make something positive out of it, you know?
You have to have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps to make other people comfortable, too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to be comfortable with your own skin makes other people comfortable.
Yeah, it really does.
And out of all the events you've ever announced in your entire life or ever worked at, what is your favorite? What is the craziest thing?
Craziest thing?
Craziest or favorite, or both?
You know, I'm lucky that I get to do the Final Four because that's such a unique sporting event that takes place annually. And I know that's sort of contradictory. Unique and annual doesn't necessarily match. But in this case, it really does. I love the Stanley Cup. I love the World Series. I wish I could count on working that every year. But that just doesn't work out that way. Luckily, the Final Four has. I've done the last 16. I'm hoping to make it 17, but I haven't gotten my letter yet to invite me.
Cross my fingers.
Mine too. Yeah. So, but those are unique events. Those are very special events. And at some point in time, you get so nervous that your area of focus tends to get very small. If you're lucky and you do events like that enough, at one point in time, maybe things open up and you actually get to look around and realize what you're doing and where you're doing it. This is cool. And you actually get to enjoy what you're doing. Well, it took me, I think, 10 years before that happened. But it did happen. And now I still will sit there and just take a moment and look around and appreciate where you are.
Not everyone gets to go in the special areas behind a Final Four basketball game.
No, it's no different than any other sporting event. You know that you only better go to the areas that you're allowed to go into.
You can't meet the players or anything like that?
Never. I would never want to do that. You know, whether it's the Final Four, the White Sox, or the Blackhawks, going into the players' area for me, I would never do that. That's their office. You have to look at it that way because they're preparing for their jobs. And a lot of those areas at the professional level especially are designed for them to prepare for their jobs. So leave them alone. You want them to win? Fine. Stay out of that room. Leave them alone.
Yeah, don't distract them.
Yeah, give them space.
That makes sense. You know, I wouldn't want to get yelled at by any professional but any sports player.
Let's see, they have bats and baseball and sticks and hockey. Yeah, I don't want to upset any of them.
I have to lift twice a day. It's awful. So what's some advice just to give to broadcasting or media students today? Because it's a very different time, you know?
But at the same time, radio was supposed to die many times during my lifetime, whether it was because of television or because of audio tapes that you could take in your car and play whatever you wanted to. Radio still lives. It will continue. It's a great industry. It's a great way to meet some people that you would never have the chance to meet before. The best thing you can do is, if you're interested, do what the people in this room and in this building are doing. Get on the air. Take a chance. There might be a spot someplace for you. It may be news, sports, disc jockeying, whatever. Take the chance and do it.
You heard it here first, guys. Take the chance and do it. Gene Honda, I want to thank you so much for coming down here. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it.